Automation equals competitiveness, which we all benefit from.
You know you haven't got enough time, then it's not just about investing in infrastructure or kit. You have to invest in people, and that might mean for an 18-month period you have to increase your account by 10 people, to release people to go and do these things. But it has to happen. That is just a pitiful excuse now in manufacturing. We ain't got time. But we make it.
So how do we take this conversation back to industry to say this is what needs to change? It's because it improves productivity, it makes the end user better, it makes food cheaper. Because David's one person going around these factories making small changes, but there are hundreds of SMEs in the Automate membership that will be actively trying to sell to other people like David that is struggling.
So one of the projects we're doing, which is 100 thermal solutions around the world, checking food production. We've got engineers, they're in their mid-20s, they're going to Australia for 6 weeks to commission.
Yeah, living the dream.
Living the dream, living the dream. So Australia, India, Colombia.
What are you inspecting the seal on in Colombia?
Food pouches.
Okay, good.
If manufacturing leaves, this country is going to be in dire straits, and we are not providing an environment for our children and our children's children to succeed.
What he said.
This is Manufacturing Uncensored. No PR, no safe answers. In this episode, it's integrator versus end user.
And maybe you'll be surprised about how much they agree on.
Automation just cuts jobs so manufacturers can make more money. Bullshit or backbone?
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Explain.
Automation, from my perspective, yes, historically, in the traditional sense, case packers, bits and bobs, we're about taking heads out to stabilise the business and make it more profitable. The head count's not there anymore, right? So now you have to automate to stabilise your organisation and make you more sustainable for the future, because the head count, the people aren't around, the skills aren't there. So unless you start to automate now and you rely on that labour force won't be there. And if the labour force isn't there and you're not ready to go, then you won't be there anymore. You won't be able to operate.
How did that creep up? Because obviously in the food factories you've been working at the last forever, David, right?
Yeah, 26 plus years.
But what does that look like, where it actually went from there's plentiful labour to the labour started dying off? How abrupt was that?
If I'm going to be honest, I think it was mainly around Brexit.
Right.
I think that was the major trigger where we started to see a real decline in the movement of labour.
Yeah.
And as be able to attract people to do what people perceive as the more meaningful jobs on lines, the repetitive tasks, etc. And also the growth of Amazon is also a massive hit for manufacturing, because do people really want to be in a environment that's 3 degrees for 12 hours and pack products, or do they want to go and stand in a warehouse being fed parts by a robot or whatever, and because it's a nicer environment to be in. Yeah. And I think the growth of the logistics side of industry has really hurt the manufacturing side of industry.
Really?
But also Brexit was a major trigger in terms of the shortage of labour. And now we're seeing that obviously labour bills are going up and up and up, but the people still aren't there.
Yeah.
So it literally is, if people don't get on the bus now and start to change what they're doing and think differently, then unfortunately the competitors will, at which point your business and your jobs are at risk. And that's what it is now. It's a case of having to. It's not a question of should we.
Yeah.
It's when are we going to do it and how soon can we do it. Yeah.
Martin, what did you say? Bullshit.
It's about competitiveness. It's about companies staying competitive. So what we find, we're all in the same place. We're working, we buy food. We want food to be low cost. There's a market force that's driving price down. Things are more expensive to produce. It's more expensive to employ people. It's about being competitive. That's what we see. I think the next thing after that is the availability of people. So particularly in industries where perhaps factories are a little bit remote, which is where quite a few food factories are, for instance, it's very hard to keep people, and therefore the solution to that is to automate. Yeah, because their business is dependent on having people, and when they've got several hundred people in the plant, it's business critical that those people are there, and they are less available. And it is because they're going into logistics. There are other places to go to. Part of the problem is job design. Some of these jobs are not very exciting. They're not designed for people to be there doing an 8-hour shift. I don't think there's enough consideration of job design and how to get that variety in a day that makes it reasonably enjoyable.
No, I agree with David with the labour. We do have a labour shortage, right? But we still go into factories now, and there are people stood across lines, fucking moving things by hand. You know, really simple tasks that could be automated. Now I have we actually opened this up in episode 1. We had Rosie from Rico, a robot integrator, and we said there's this conversation that needs to happen. Is actually, yes, we can say we can reskill them people. Where do they actually go?
Right, so I have a view on that. The reskilling of people is not an issue generally today for the manufacturing industry. That's a government issue. Yeah, there has to be some responsibility pushed to the government to do some of this heavy lifting. Yeah, because natural business dynamics will force these things to happen commercially. Yeah, even if it's just us, where we're going to shop. Yeah, right at that end. But this big conversation around what's going to happen to the people. You know, we understand the history here that there's, you know, generally it works well and people do transition into new roles. However, there's often a gap there, and we don't know what that gap's going to be this time round. But that is the job of government, to make sure that people are being upskilled to make that transition, and they are doing some stuff here. And I did some research. The other day. The government is investing here, but it's not marketed. So they've got some AI courses, not marketed. But I do think it's a gentle conversation, because we're the same. You know, we're going in. We're automating roles, and generally they're being redeployed within the business for the reasons earlier. You know, that there aren't enough people around. But when this gets momentum, it's governments that need to be getting their arms around that.
I kind of agree that the government does need to do more. You know, I think the first stage of that was the introduction of the apprenticeship levy, which for me never had the impact that it should have had. Yeah. Again, for that positive marketing, where we're not pushing things, we're not at the grassroots level pushing people into apprenticeships, but still leaving it open to choice, or, you know, not giving people that plethora of choice and giving them the right steer. But also, as leaders in manufacturing, we need to take ownership and accountability for our people and train them, because we're rubbish at it.
Yeah.
We've got an apprenticeship levy where big businesses pay money into a pot, and there is so much there that can be reutilised for the redeployment of people, the generation of people, and we don't do it. We just expect that Joe Bloggs is going to move from being a great operator to being a manager or being running automation, and he's going to do it through an SOP. It's BS. It's not. Yeah. Educate people, give people the opportunity to grow properly, because the funds are there. You're already paying for it. And if you upskill people and you treat them right, they stay with your business. So then you don't lose the skill. It's not all about big government. We have to take ownership and accountability at a lower level, and we're not doing it, in my opinion.
I think it comes down to strategy, though. A company needs a strategy of automation, and what goes into that strategy is there's funds, there's people, there's a translation of people and an upskilling of people. Because the best automation projects are the ones where it's strategic, where there's you've got that buy-in, top down. We're doing this. This is the direction we're going, and all of these things are taken into consideration.
I agree.
Yeah.
So going back to the upskilling piece for the factories you've been at, David, having people who wanted to be upskilled, not a problem. Having the potential to be upskilled, not a problem, but they're just not the ladder.
Correct. And that's in my experience and opinion is that there's a lot of untapped talent out there in the manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
And we're just not investing in people.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's not about investing in people when the technology's landed. It's about investing in them now to take them on that journey. Again, strategically, whether it's succession planning, people strategy, whatever it is. How do we move our workforce from A to B to C? Yeah. But we know we need to start that journey before the kit lands, before this big data lands, the digitisation lands, whatever it is. Yeah. We have to start early. Yeah. People need to get on the bus.
I think the challenge there is that when you're the people that are running the plants, there's no capacity for any of that thinking, though. That everybody's just focused on the day-to-day delivery.
Keep the plant running.
It's very reactionary. Yeah, I mean, even from an automation point of view, you know, the projects that we put in, often they're there because there's a customer pain that's driven it, rather than we're going to automate. So it's almost like there isn't the sort of stand back and think about this is what we're going to do, because everything is so tight We haven't got time to think about that. And therefore it's just the day-to-day delivery and very reactionary rather than actually we need to think about this.
But that comes back to your first point on doing it strategically.
Yeah.
Because if you know there's a gap, you know you haven't got enough time, then it's not just about investing in infrastructure or kit. You have to invest in people. And that might mean for an 18-month period you have to increase your headcount by 10 people to release people to go and do these things. But it has to happen. That is just a pitiful excuse now in manufacturing. We ain't got time. Well, bloody make it. Because if you ain't got time now, you're not going to have a job later.
And it was there. And it was there, right? I mean, you know, I'm sure David agrees that I'm the best supplier he ever had.
We'll go for all right. We'll massage that ego right now. There you go, mate. All right.
But we've been FMCG either side of the fence. What you know, it was strategic 20 years ago, right? And it still is a little bit in confectionery and in dairy and I think in food and beverage it's better, right?
Oh, in beverage,
it was strategic that they would take people on journeys, a bit Strictly Come Dancing, but they would do that, and it got really reactionary, right, kind of 10, 15 years ago. Now in this weird kind of soup of neither camp would be my perception.
Think, you know, when we go back, back to 20 years or so, I think it was simpler.
Yeah.
Because it was, I need to buy equipment to do that job to lower my cost.
Yeah.
Now we need digitisation, we need to walk through these projects, we need big data, we want all this, we need to create sub-networks. Yeah. It's a lot bigger to really maximise, the Internet of Things, Industry 4.0 and the automation and maximise the investment. It's a bigger picture now.
Yeah.
It's not just, I want product A to go in, space B.
Yeah.
This is now we have to build for the future. Yeah. And it is the strategic long-term plan around plant, people, process, projects to make sure we get there.
And what we observe is that in that plethora of stuff, it's very hard for people to know what to do and where to go. Yeah, there's just too much. You look at Industry 4, there are so many solutions that are all competing for attention.
Yeah.
How does a manufacturer go, well, that's the right route? And I've come across companies who are less professional in their approach in terms of what they're selling, getting traction. And I'm like, well, there's no substance there behind that. That's not the right solution.
Yeah.
So people do get burned.
I hate the term Industry 4.0.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's it became a false flag to hang you to.
It became a buzzword.
To hang your flag on.
Yeah.
Oh, we do Industry 4.0, yeah. And you could basically industry the fourth industrial revolution wasn't a revolution; it's an evolution. We're on an evolution journey, right? And there'll be peaks and troughs, and obviously we're all looking at what AI is going to do, and is it going to burst? Is it not? Right? There wasn't a fourth industrial revolution, but what we sadly created is we created a buzzword that meant that people, the genuine people who were trying to do the Internet of Things and simulation and stuff like that, were noised out by people who use the term as snake oil.
Yeah. So snake oil is a phrase I use.
Yeah.
So in Vision, there are companies, and I call them snake oil sales, and they're selling like, and it's an AI application. It's a deep learning application. Yeah. And I'm like, that can be done with old-fashioned rules-based Vision, not at that price point, not with an SLA, a monthly pot cost, not with a training license.
Yeah.
It's snake oil sales, and absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets, and customers do get burned. Yeah?
Yes.
I see these very sexy adverts on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. It's Vision Business, will go on it. Yeah. It's like, okay, it's AI Vision. Okay, nothing behind it, but I'll go to customers and they've clicked on it and they're on site and they're creating some noise and there's no depth to it.
Yeah. But again, I think from my point of view, implementing projects around vision, automation for quite a while now inside industry, that's because people aren't benchmarking properly. That's because they haven't got a firm FDS before they go into this. Right, they go in and go, oh, that's shiny. I like it. I love shiny stuff because I'm an engineer. I love playing with stuff. Right, brilliant. But if you don't set your terms of reference out before you speak to people,
agreed.
You will be led instead of you doing the leading.
We had a conversation yesterday in a company that it's full of people that we just like shiny. Yeah, and it's like we need some because that's the world of that is the world we're in. We see all this innovation.
Yeah. That is a point of erosion. We used to have 20 years ago, and I get the simplicity of projects got more complicated. complicated. If we went through a period of time that everybody was using for projects, the ICME, Chemical Engineering Red Book of Projects, it was absolutely shit for implementing a project, but at least there was something. There was a to-do list now. Now you're right, you extreme from URSs and FDSs that are read just really as litigation documents to and are written to generalise. So, how many times am I reading a URS or an FDS where I'm having to strike through all the civil engineering stuff because it doesn't apply to me? Am I asbestos compliant? Vision stuff, that's him, not me, because I'm a metal basher. And then I like shiny. We have this weird juxtaposition between the two, and both of them fail. We need to find that middle ground.
So part of the problem we see from a customer side is and it feeds into what you're saying there, is the lack of good, decent process engineering.
Yeah.
Engineers on the other side to challenge us correctly as well.
Yeah.
Because if they're not challenging us correctly, they're not challenging the snake oil sales correctly. And if we haven't got decent process engineers, it's very hard for them to see the value in what's offered in automation. Yeah. And engineers, and I have this view that engineers are generally quite cautious. That's why they're in engineering. They're not necessarily the most flamboyant and kind of risk takers. Yeah, there's a degree of reservedness, and then you kind of couple that in terms of the British culture and the make do and mend. Yeah, it's very hard to get that message across. So it's on the other side. We need decent partners on the other side to be able to pull the technology through.
But again, that for me comes back to the early adoption of training, mentoring, education. Because just because I'm a good engineer doesn't mean I'm going to be a good project manager.
Yes.
Yeah. Because actually, I know how to install a bit of kit. Yeah. But all the snake oil business you're talking about, I'm not aware of because I've not been exposed to it.
Yeah.
So unless you educate people in the right way, we don't get the right solution for me, and that's kind of.
Yeah, I think there's been a reduction in quality type engineering and how to follow a process through, how to look for alternatives. So I see that as well. It's like we're going in and there's sort of clutching at straw ideas rather than what's the problem? Have you looked at all the alternatives and follow a process, to actually drive the decision rather than a wing it process, which seems to be pretty much a default.
But for me, that wing it position is because people don't know. No. And you can't hold people accountable for what they don't know, so you have to make sure that they do.
Yeah. It's definitely a piece that we've cocked up on as a trade association. Our level of view is that. I mean, is that we kept on doing the same and we didn't bridge the gap and we didn't train enough people on the concept of what to do. And there's no doubt that to be a representative trade association, we need to have the end users involved as well, and that isn't how the membership quality for that. How you do it is hard, and we're looking at the moment because you want to give the world how you do it. Likewise, you don't want to give tokenism, like let them off the car parking at the NEC. Maybe because the NEC would kill us, but I mean, but it's a piece that I would say, are massively behind on a curve on, and we need to do is we need to get people to we need to collectively upskill. And it's important. And I can see a situation, we were alluding to it, David and I were talking about a supplier that we both know, and I said to you, I admit to you, I plagiarised their service thing. We won't say it out loud, right? Because I don't need lawyers. But you've seen I've done it, right?
It was a model that worked.
It was a model that worked. And one of the things that they did is that they trained people and they engaged people. I mean, this is where we give away who I've plagiarised. I mean, they did some simple stuff, like they used to train your staff and send them home in their jackets, so they felt part of it. And we need.
I had about 50 engineers.
I know. I mean, it's a great incentive.
I never got one like one, right?
Oh, and I had one. I was one of their competitors. I never quite worked out. I got trained by them, but. Yeah, all I can say is it sealed the deal for me because we were basically giving away who it is. But I don't know, and we're doing that, right? I mean, we increasingly sell machines not because of what the machines do, but we sell machines because of the service proposition and the training proposition.
But if I go into being a chief engineer or site engineer manager, that strategic relationship means that if I have a service provider that, one, can give me the equipment, two, can train my people. It means that over time, my total cost of ownership of that bit of kit is massively reduced. And also, there's less pull on your service engineers because we can take greater accountability. It means that when you come in and you are just doing, the annual services, the output are good, the waste remains low. So it's all about trying to manage now the total cost of ownership of assets and installations. So yes, you might invest more up front, but actually over a 3, 5, 7 year period, actually, if you would have invested half that money on a less superior asset, actually your total cost of ownership could be double.
Can I just interject, because I know we've been talking for a long time.
This was the intro.
We all agree it was bullshit.
Question
So it's bullshit. Shouldn't have fucking asked. Right, so we need to introduce you back.
Shit, we not even done that.
No. Right, so for the people watching, listening, hopefully tens of thousands of them, David, you go first. Who are you? What qualifies you to talk about what we're talking about?
So, I'm David Hamilton. I am currently an engineering consultant, but been in engineering for over 26 years now, which makes me feel I'm very old. But I've started off as an apprentice engineer, apprentice electrician, and I've worked my way up to being, a multi-sited or business kind of engineering manager and projects manager. And now I go around the country consulting with people to either help them upskill people, implement projects, or even working with some sustainability businesses on their project design and development and deployment, to even machinery manufacturers, and them getting me involved from a maintenance point of view. So they have a design and I go and say, how can I maintain it? How do I get to that mountain? How do I do that? What's the diagnostics? What's the HMI? And just doing that end user assessment for people. So my passion is trying to make things better. Both from a people point of view, but also project deployment and investments. That's my bag.
And are you industry agnostic, or have you always had a vertical that you've been in?
So
That's a bit of a wanky term, but
Industry agnostic.
industry agnostic.
Oh,
Fucking hell.
sorry.
big word. You know, from Yorkshire.
hell.
I don't speak English. It's only
ChatGPT
Yorkshire.
like that.
Have you always been in one industry, David, or have you tried different? That's basically what you wanted to say, right?
So I cut my teeth in plastics injection moulding.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of plastic building products, and then I've done a plethora of food, but I've also done a bit of cardboard. So it's FMCG,
Okay.
mainly food, but yeah, I have done plenty of little bits and bobs.
Martin?
So I'm Martin Hurworth, CEO of Bytronic Vision Intelligence. So we are a team based just south of Bromsgrove. We are everything vision. So vision in manufacturing, vision in logistics. We are UK based, but we have global reach. So we have business around the world, and that's because our customers tend to be the bigger businesses. Ideal customer, we design it once and then we roll it out 10 or even 100 times. One of our projects at the moment is 100 times. We are specialists, like I say, in vision. There's a big chunk of us which is thermal, so we're very large in seal inspection in the food industry, and we do a lot of innovation. So I think one of the bits that I've realised recently, I've been in the company about 6 years, and looking at where we spend our resource and time, a big chunk of it is innovating first, because all vision solutions need to be tested, and there's a lot of good technology out there. So we innovate first, and then we're like a traditional integrator, but with a global footprint. And now we're moving into cobots. So we're working with ABB on there. We're moving into some lean consultancy, because we get onto these sites and we just see the fact that they've got lots of people, and we could do some lean around there, because lean seems to have been forgotten about. So that's an area that we're taking advantage of. And it's a great time to be in automation. The team is really excited. It's a fun business. And yeah, so we're working logistics, we're working general manufacturing, we do a bit of pharma, a bit of automotive, and quite a lot of food. Yeah.
I quite like what you just said there, because when I was kind of in bakery previously, I rolled out an automation framework. It was called repeatable pockets of automation. Looking for where you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, but you get the maximum hits.
And that's really important, because a lot of our stuff can be a one-off. You've learnt a load of stuff, and it's hard to make money on a one-off. But the second one, you've got all the learnings, and the third one, you've got all the learnings, and it gets better. So one of the projects we're doing, which is 100 thermal solutions around the world, checking food production, it's 100 times the same solution. And what's lovely about Bartronic is we've got engineers, they're in their mid-20s, they're going to Australia for 6 weeks to commission.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Living the dream. So Australia, India, Colombia, up north of the UK.
Just God's country.
God's country.
God's country, all right.
Later went to the. I don't think it's God's country. I think it's the other side. No, not God's country.
What are you inspecting the seal on in Colombia?
Food pouches.
Oh, good.
Pouches and
Good food pouches. Yeah, food pouches at the moment. Yeah.
There's scope to develop the market. Yeah.
No, I mean, we're quite unique there actually, and that's been driven out of the sustainability requirements.
Really? Wow.
So because the material is changing, it's harder to weld because of sustainability that's coming. Therefore, you need tight tolerances on when you're welding. Yeah. And you can only do that with a thermal vision system. So, but it's very exciting. I mean, it's a really fascinating business, and I joined it really to make an impact. I mean, my career started out in the late 90s in automotive. I was a headlamp designer working for Hella, which was great fun. We had all the kind of Toyota impact in the business, so a lot of lean at that point. That was my formative years. Then I moved through into prototyping, into a commercial role, fairly large commercial role, and then I'm sort of back into this space. But it's hugely exciting. But the key thing for me is about, one of the things I get very frustrated about is people doing robot work and not wholesome work. And I go to factories where I see just work that really needs to be automated. It's not good for the company, and it's not good for not good for the people. Yeah. So yeah.
I have a feeling this interview is not going to be very structured. However, we do have a segment that's called Uncensored Headlines, and I'm going to chuck some headlines out, and it's probably conversations that we all have in other rooms in manufacturing, and we just want your honest opinions, which I'm sure we're going to get anyway. UK manufacturing productivity continues to lag other advanced economies. Where does productivity actually get lost?
I think a lot of it is what we've just been talking about. Is there's a lot of people waste in terms of labour waste, but in terms of process control and being able to have live data that you can get after instead of always lagging in your activities in industry, that for me is where we lose the most money, time, and where the highest waste is. So something's happened from Monday to Friday this week and you don't review it till next Tuesday.
Yes.
Why? Because you're still losing money. You're still producing waste. Live, this big data, this collaboration where you can see what's happening and why, and whether it's on a dashboard where you can just see something turn red and get after it as part of a good response and structured meetings on the shop floor where they know where the challenges are, where we've been for the last hour, where do we need to be in the next hour. That's the biggest loss for me. We have too much lag and not enough lead in manufacturing.
He's absolutely right. I mean, we have this crazy situation with most of the data logging systems that we fit that could transmit live. We get in a weird situation. They want us to transmit everything, so they just get stuck because they actually just want to see OEE and a few fault counts. Or the other thing is we just transmit it at the end of the run as a backslapathon, whereas we don't look at the live data. But that issue scales up all the way through. And there's some significant technical gains in everything. I mean, one thing actually, we talk about robotics, but one thing which Martin will be involved in a bit to check it's cool. I can't believe how good automation has got at recycled material and also extended shelf life of core product, right? Yet we are lagging production behind doing it. If you think about it, so recycled, some of the core products that you're buying for the same amount of money in a supermarket is now like 90% regrind plastic. That's like an incredible achievement. When I was in injection molding 25 years ago, we thought 20% would be quite mega. That's unbelievable, that. But the shelf life extension work on some core products is huge. I mean, you used to think about things that would be some of the places you were, and I try and sell your shit, is that we were on like 18-day shelf life, and now those products are on 40-day shelf life, but we still produce like it's 18 days and create that lag situation. And then it just scales up and it scales up. So lag, from producing now to adopting automation, lag is the UK's problem.
100%.
So I have a different version of lag, and so my version of lag is in the finance department. Yeah. So it just takes so long from that initial engagement with us to actually placing the order. Yeah. And I'm talking 18 months typically. Yeah. And in that 18 months of slowness, the value is being leaked every single day.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's from what I see, one of the things is an absence of financial kind of concern around this.
The bureaucracy.
The bureaucracy.
Kills creativity.
Yeah. So I see the lag. I see so everything else you agree with. I agree with. But I just see another element, which is this finance lag. Yeah. That just means that we're just not moving fast enough.
I completely agree.
And some of these solutions you could just put in and just start getting data straight away. So we put in temporary solutions, and then we put in permanent solutions sometimes. Yeah, they've got an immediate problem and they need a plaster. In it goes, and it protects the line, and then there's a longer term solution that comes. That's a good project. Yeah. Sometimes that problem just continues and continues and continues and continues, and we don't put a system in until then they have a major issue, and they've got a number of pallets at a retailer that now they've done wrong. Now they'll move, and it comes back to a little bit about the strategy thing.
There's that, and this is where I always used to get stuck. The seeking investment is return on investment. It's got to return in 17 months, 18 months. Well, actually, now, if people don't change that, because it doesn't work anymore, this is now about business protection. It's about strategic planning and strategic partnerships to move you forward and make sure that you're fit for the future. It's not about a quick buck in payback. There's still some out there. There's loads out there where there's great opportunities to automate at a low cost that it will wipe its own arse in 8 months. That's great. But if we want long-term security and we want British manufacturing to be great and a standout, practice again, we've got to get on. We've got to get on with it. But you've got to remove, the handcuffs and the chains around it, and because, like I said before, the bureaucracy of it all and those ridiculous payback numbers kill the creativity and kill innovation, and that's not where we are.
The creativity is our USP. There is no doubt that anybody involved in manufacturing, compared to their European, and actually having done quite a bit of work in the USA, we're doing really well in the USA and they're good projects, but the creativity is not as high. Is from operator to site director or MD, the creativity that we get is so much higher in the UK, and we stifle that. There are things on grow mould machines that I deal with where I know that even silly things like the way that the buttons are laid out is from a UK operator that we took to a PDI who was said, actually it needs to be done like this, all the way through to having process engineers saying, if you do this, you do that, I can get an hour back in my day. And that all main kind of set creativity has come from my UK customer base. After probably Grumwold itself, the UK customer base, I would argue, my colleagues elsewhere might do, but they won't listen to this, unless I say something slanderous, in which case Grumwold's lawyers will, is that we are beautiful. This nation is beautifully creative, and that really sticks in manufacturing. And with the lag and the financial lag I assign to, we kill that creativity.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm interviewing at the moment a technical sales engineer role. So it's a...
Not right now. Back off, mine.
It's an entry-level role, graduate role, and state of the market means that I can go and get, a master's, qualified person. There's a lot of them around. All of them are saying, so why have you joined? Why do you want to be an engineer? Yeah. It's to solve problems. It's to make change. Yeah, and it's really nice as an older engineer to hear that is still what's underneath. What people want to do is I want to solve problems. I want to make change, and it's just really nice and really exciting that kind of core is still there. So the financial lag I think is one. I also think, and you've mentioned partnerships, I think that's really important. I see some tension between manufacturers wanting to do this automation themselves and then not having the skills versus bringing in the right partners to do it collaboratively together.
But I think that also fits into that lag and that ROI.
Yeah.
We want a penny pinch,
Yeah.
and we want to dilute the solution.
Yeah.
If you want orange juice, you buy orange juice.
Yeah.
Dilute orange is not the same as orange juice.
So,
So stop diluting it.
I can see a good example at the moment. Big project, seal inspection. There's a thermal camera, there's a vision camera. It's all in, yeah. Next day, I do the quote. Next day after, right, how much to take the thermal camera out? Okay, fine. The thermal camera is the bit that's doing the really clever bit. That's actually protecting. It's giving you a temperature reading. Yeah. The vision camera. When anybody can do the vision camera. Yeah. That's looking for something different. Immediately, you've come back and said, how do I take the thermal camera out of say 10 lines? And
It's the key component.
Yeah. And it's exactly what we say. It's just dumbing it down versus
Diluting it. So we've invested. So we can go to the retail and say we've invested in that problem, but we've diluted the solution, so we're not actually going to get the benefit. But then we and the manufacturer will come back to you and go, why does that not pick that up?
Yeah.
Or you sold us it and you'll be like, it's because you took half the project out.
Or worse, we could put it back in. Well, we could have put it back in if we'd have made the enclosure bigger. But now we've made the enclosure smaller to meet the price. We can't now retrofit that.
Do you think I'm going to do the typical thing? I'm going to go machine provider and make it all your fault as the end user.
Good luck, God bless.
Right. I did a project with you 10 years. So the great thing at the moment is you compare 20
here we go.
10 years.
It's only 10 years for this.
I'm back the clock.
Anybody else?
If you don't want me not, if you don't want to be complimentary, right, David, I won't be, right? So the great thing at the moment is apparently you compare 2026 to 2016. You're millennial. You don't know what the film Airplane is or Leslie Nielsen is. That's the thing, right? You've done that. You've not done that either, right? Amazing. I did a project.
Yeah, I'm on social media.
Yeah. I did a project with David 10 years ago where we put a line into the factory where he was head of engineering. Yeah. And it was a bit of an odd one because it was the right spec of machine, but it was going to a different factory, and there was quite a lot of stuff going on. The factory was more automated than his. And actually, we only mission creeped by about 3 weeks on site, I think. But we had some issues. You were putting a square peg in a round hole. And I had done that shitty thing of telling David and Matt Dedif as well as saying, chill, it'll be alright. Wasn't so alright at certain points. David gave me we had some pretty heated conversations, but I could look.
Doesn't sound like me.
But yeah, and then when he couldn't be asked for, he sent Matt to do it, right? And I had some heated.
That sounded like me.
Yeah, it sounded like you. And we had some heated conversations back. But one thing is that you were able to tell me that butterfly valve, that sensor, is that David was giving me a round of fucks. Frankly, you did once, and I deserved it. And it worked. And it worked the next day. But he was able to clarify where he should do. What worries me now at the moment with some of the FMCG applications we go to is that I'm dealing with general managers who've got a head of engineering or head of projects title, and they go, it's not working. And you go, yeah, so tell me what it does. You need to sort it out. It's not working. What worries me is I fear that your profession is a specialist profession, right? I really believe it is. But I fear there's too many general managers moving into engineering management and project management. And if you don't know how to wire a panel, which is what you did as part of your apprenticeship, how are you supposed to be a project director who has the talent to skill up? And that really worries me at the moment is that on the end user side, and then you factor in that we have a fascination on the automation side that we get to corporate. Luckily, that is going. Hence this podcast, right? But it's getting quite a mix. You've got a corporate supplier, and on manufacturing, we have too many general managers in manufacturing, I would argue now, not specialists. So I'd be nice to you, because in 2016, we did a very good project together. It didn't look like a very good project 3 weeks in. We sorted it out, and it's because we could be frank with each other, but both parties were knowledgeable. And I feel that
It's also about being engaged, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, and it's back to this partnership, if we've asked you to provide a machine and we haven't done that correctly, we have to hold ourselves accountable and we have to come to the party.
Yeah.
You know, the blame game in any project will kill it. It's about we know where we are, we know where we want to get to. There's some bumps in the road. Let's work through it. Yeah. You know, if we want to fall out afterwards, we'll fall out afterwards. But let's get through it because it's in both our best interests, because it benefits the business. Yeah. Benefits your business from a sales point of view. Benefits the business I'm in from a return of investment or growth potential. And that's where for me is when I see all this falling out around the table is, well, let's just shut up, put us boots on and go and have a look.
Right?
Right, let's just shut up, put your boots on, let's go down there and have a look. You know, what's my problem, what's your problem, who's doing what, what's the timeline, let's get it done. Instead of trying to blame and try and go, well, you now owe me $5,000 or whatever it is. It's nonsense, just get on with it.
It's getting worse, right? And I mean, it didn't used to, there was always happening a bit, but I mean, that conversation I had with David, I mean, I am fortunate, I mean, I ham it up, right, because it's a good thing. I'm fortunate that the equipment I've worked on now for 17 years is good equipment. I'm not pitching it, is good equipment. But when you're putting projects in, it is lumpy. And you need to do what you're saying, right? So let's get the thing bloody working and work out who's what, and then we'll decide if we want a proper fight afterwards. Correct. And now the fight's happening too quickly.
Which stalls the project even further.
Yes.
Which is no good.
I do think there's also a thing around here about managing complexity and talking about complexity and signposting and saying, this is complex, and really understanding where it's going to fall over and what it could be like, because some of this stuff is, if you are on the leading edge of technology, you know, it's not always going to work first time, and it's about having a partnership. Go, well, that's where we're heading, and like you say, it might be a bit lumpy, and we'll get there because we always get there, but there's going to be, potholes in the road from both sides. We have it when we're doing a deep learning project. So when you're training, good or bad, and the customer will say, "Well, where have you? Give me an example of where you've used this before." And I can't. You've got to be comfortable with that bit. You know, we've done that, we've done that, we've done that, and we've done that elsewhere. Joined together. No, you're the first. You know, and are you ready for that level of innovation? We can show you that works, but we can't show it works in combination because you are pushing the edge here, which is really exciting. But then, of course, when you're a bit down the line and it's a bit lumpy, it's like, remember, everybody, what we kind of signed up to at the beginning, and we'll get there.
But do you find, though, from a supplier's perspective, that the information that you get up front is actually adequate?
No.
Because that for me is where everything falls over, because we go, we want that one, and we want it to do this, and then in the process we actually go, oh, well, we didn't tell you about this. Well, then expect it to do it anyway.
Absolutely. So I've got a really beautiful one. A big seat inspection cell about the size of this room. 2 seats in it. Looking all round for defects and leather creases.
Some video on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that was the Cobot version. That was the Cobot version. That's version 2. This is like big static.
You did a bit of LinkedIn stalking as well.
I know him. Yeah, sure you did. Yeah. But this big cell, you've got 16 more than 16 cameras, so it's 24 cameras, and of course you need a distance, don't you, so you can see stuff, So we got the order, finally got the order after, that was a 12-month activity where we had to go and visit the site and do lots of work. Get the order, start, and they go, there's a robot cell right there. I mean, what do you mean right there? And it's like that far off the back of the seats. And our cameras were there. It's like, well, how am I going to lose that? What's needed to be done?
Focal distance completely gone.
Exactly. There's nothing. It's like multiple cameras, and it has caused us some challenges to get through. But it's that kind of, hold on, that's just bad engineering, guys. You know, you've got a big investment here, and you've changed the scope quite significantly.
Well, you've ripped it up and started again.
Which is why the robot is a good solution. Because it's ultra flexible.
I'm going to bring some order back to the room because the rest of my headlines we've already talked about.
I just want to clarify something. So if we agree that project went okay in 2016, would you sign that installation invoice I've had for 10 years?
I don't work for that business anymore.
was a very this has been a very strategic years planning
To get that invoice paid right, I joined the board of BPMA and rebranded our whole trade association. And it got to a point today where I can make you admit that project went okay and you still won't pay it, right? Well, that's a decade wasted.
But you had some learnings along the way. Though.
Yeah, exactly.
We've spoken about these next two, so I'm just going to ask you to clarify or to sum up everything we spoke about, a sentence each. Headline number 2, manufacturers say technology exists, so why do projects still fail? David first.
Because people do not plan effectively. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah.
Martin?
I have to say it's having the right team on that side, and it's about planning and understanding risk around it.
Okay, headline number 3 was Industry 4.0 messaging is losing credibility with end users.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, I think we just agreed.
We all agree.
Yeah. By the way, I know I'm not supposed to look down the camera, but to any Automate UK member who provides Industry 4.0, I'm sure yours is the same.
Yeah, we apologise. Please renew membership.
Please, if you haven't paid your renewal bill, yeah.
Okay, right. This is the fun one. Bullshit or backbone. So I'll read out some statements. You've already had a practice run of this. Bullshit or backbone, and then back up your answer. Most automation projects fail because technology isn't good enough.
Bullshit.
Incorrectly specified projects.
No.
Most automation projects fail because technology isn't good enough.
No, bullshit, yeah.
Okay, who wants to go first? Why is it bullshit?
So for me, we go to sites where vision's been switched off. So a vision solution will have been switched off because it's not doing what it should do. So the technology, so it's the wrong technology. It's the wrong installation. It's not been integrated well. It's not being.
So it's not the technology itself that's the problem.
Well, it might be the technology. It might be the wrong technology.
Okay. Yeah,
But the technology exists. The technology is good enough from industry. It's just wrongly integrated or specified.
So for me, I look at it in terms of the technology is like this bit, yeah, and then the solution is all of this, yeah. So it's the whole thing, yeah. The vision sensor thing is just part of it, yeah. So it can be incorrectly specified because of motivations of salespeople just trying to get their kit in. You know, they can only sell what they've got on offer, and if they've got a good reputation in the industry, customers will be swayed by that, and then poorly integrated, and then poorly adopted. Yeah, so the adoption's really important as well. Yeah, and what happens, of course, vision systems, they give you bad news sometimes. They're there to detect. Sometimes they're there to detect and to reject, and
it shows failures upstream as well.
And then you have to go back and turn the dial down. Yeah, and go, well, let some more stuff through.
But again, that really grates me because, yeah, it is about selecting the right technology for the application at hand. Right? They don't deliver bad news. They tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
Because you can't see it.
It's the context, though, isn't it?
It's like, yes, you're producing more waste. Well, actually, just sort your process out. Yeah. The problem's not that what you put in.
Yep.
Go back, do some process engineering.
Yeah.
Get your settings locked down, and show it good stuff.
And I think that's the problem, though, because then who's going to do that? Yeah, that's like now.
An engineer worth his salt.
Yeah, but now you've got your pants pulled down. You've got a problem. Who's going to do it? Yeah, because they're all really stressed. Yeah.
David, can I ask, how does that go down when you feed that back internally at these companies?
As in,
like, do they say, all right, David, you brought that to us, you go and fix it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But what happens when you leave? Because I think that's what Martin's getting at. Well, hopefully you have, but there's another 500 companies that are in the same boat, aren't
we go back again. Start of every journey, information, instruction, training, supervision. It's in Health and Safety Work Act. We all have to do it as a manager, right? Yeah. If you get that bit nailed, a lot of these problems do not exist because you've got people that understand the technology, bought into the technology, can operate it, have spent time with these guys when they're installing it, so they know what's happening. And also, it increases the engagement in the team. So actually, a lot of the times, the teams that I'm managing, They're coming to me and saying, Dave, we need to go and sort that sealer out. We need to go and sort that out because it's projecting over here. Yeah, it's about if you train people, you treat people right, lead them right, higher level of engagement, the problems will sort themselves. Is where I'm at with a lot of stuff nowadays.
I wonder, so you have apprenticeships are really good. In terms of how the courses are really good, but one thing there isn't at the moment is all technical apprenticeships are kind of either pure, if you go all the way to level 7, which is what equivalent of MS Masters if you get peered, right, is it's either pure engineering or it's or if you end up doing an MBA, and an MBA I have views on because I think an MBA is a brilliant thing, but not in manufacturing would be my opinion. I think if you want to do general management in manufacturing, maybe. I wonder if there is a apprenticeship like level 5, level 6 in manufacturing process management or project management, because Prince 2 is brilliant, but it only fits like a little bit of the bill. And Prince 2 has to encompass everything. You know, there'll be people doing Prince 2 today who'll work for a Green Corps, work for a Network Rail, work for a East Midlands Airport.
At the end of the day, for me, right, we'll stick on that bit. Prince 2 is like the 18th edition. Yes. You're teaching someone how to read a bloody book.
Yes.
You're not teaching them how to apply it.
That.
Right, and that, for me, and if we go back to apprenticeships, there's lots of apprenticeships out there. There is no publicity over them.
Yeah.
People do not know what their choices are.
Yeah.
Grassroots.
Yeah.
The one thing that this country hasn't got anymore is mentors.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I would say probably all of us in this room that have been through an engineering apprenticeship, due to our kind of age demographic, had firm mentors.
Yes.
We had people around us that could show us right from wrong.
Yes.
And because we've reduced the headcounts, people are too stressed.
Yeah.
People haven't got the time to mentor the apprentices. We are doing young people a disservice in the UK because we aren't preparing them for the future. We're preparing them to get through a qualification, not for what comes after. You pass your driving test, you learn how to drive after.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Same with an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Right? Mentors are the key to unlock a lot of things in this country.
Yeah.
Not so much around automation, but just around general behaviours and skills.
Yeah, I fully agree. We've just done this apprenticeship cluster where we've got 5-6 Automate members in Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. So the idea is that if you couldn't do your welding module at your membership, the member around the corner could do the welding module. But the add-on to that is they've naturally been mentored by the managers of different businesses, and they're peer mentoring each other. And they've turned into the top technical apprenticeship in that regional area. And it's meant, I just twigged as you say that. The main reason is they're peer-to-peer mentoring, because that's a thing, right? We know that. And they actually had a variety of leadership styles above them who were invested in the cluster, so therefore invested in them. Yeah.
But that model for me, where you say, that has made a fundamental difference to those young people.
Yeah.
That's what we should be seeing more of on LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Yes.
What was the model? Who was involved? Who can people come and speak to make their organisation better? Because that's the key.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, we got this weird thing. I mean, I think we as in Automate UK at the Department for Education as we speak right now, and they wrote this article about 700,000 people aged 16 to 24. I think it's Alan Milburn, an old minister, and how do you get them engaged? And we're going to see if we can lose some of the cluster things, and because we actually go traditional. But our model is almost go back 30 years, 40 years, and it's training centres to mentorship to stuff like that. Because I think you're right, it's a soft skills loss.
Yeah, it is. But if you look at the demographic of engineers, the people that went through those specialist trade centres are the guys that are all now retiring. Guys and girls are now retiring. And we're losing a lot of skills. Yeah. And potentially, if we don't react and we don't do things a bit differently, some of them skills could be lost forever.
But you've just hit the nail on something that I haven't. The mentorship thing's been staring me in the face, because our take up of apprenticeships is an all-time, 25-year high on technical capabilities in the country. That's brilliant. But so that's great. That's offsetting the loss at the top. But what you've just said that I hadn't factored in is, of course, when we were doing apprenticeships, or even when I went through technical college to get a degree, there was a generation above me that could mentor me. You've currently got a 30-year gap because everybody in between it is a graduate. All right, so yeah, there's a mentorship piece we need to get better at very, very quickly, actually, for the apprentices coming through.
And if we can, I fully believe, because I've been passionate about, I'm very passionate about engineering and manufacturing, but the skills and people is my out and out passion, and I fully believe that that's the key that unlocks the door to success. The mentor programs to make sure that people get what they need.
I hope we weren't on an NDA about the Department of Education, but it was fine.
We can bleep that bit if you want. Automation suppliers are good at diagnosing customer problems. Bullshit or backbone?
Backbone.
As an automation supplier.
To be fair, I wouldn't say that it's solely reliant on them, but to bring a specialist into your business, they're a specialist for a reason, right? And if you engage with the right person, I would say backbone. If it's snake oil, then it's bullshit. That's what I'd say. I'd agree.
I say both.
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
But again, this is about understanding the medium, understanding the offering, the supplier, working in partnership, it being a collaboration and moving things forward. That's where the partnerships are festive, where you've got a specialist that comes in and can say, why are you doing that? Yeah. Because you're blinkered, because if you've been in a plant for 5 years, that's just how we do it. Yeah.
But you have to be careful as a specialist, and it's something that I have to self-correct myself on before I even support my people on it. It's easy as a specialist to go in with a preconceived idea. So if you know, Frank, that factory's hose happy, you'll immediately say it's water ingress. You know, I'm really simplifying, right? So that's why I'd say both. It's a backbone as long as the specialist turns up in the car park with the right attitude.
Yeah, I think it's a backbone. But if you've chosen the right specialists, you've done your due diligence, then absolutely it's backbone. Yeah. But if you've been, been lured by marketing and things like that, and you haven't done your due diligence, then you might get
substance. Which then means you're going to get into problems because it lacks substance.
Yeah. But it goes back to an early point from David, is like an FDS. Like you need to actually know what you need before you bring in 10 versions of Biotronic, because you don't know if anything's snake oil or the right solution.
There's versions of Biotronic that aren't factory savvy. Boots on ground engineers who know how to wire control panels. They are competing against us, and we're like, well, you're not really. And I often say I don't really have any competition, because that's not competition. That's completely different. You need to know how to operate on a line. Yeah.
Case studies are a reliable way to sell automation.
I'm going bullshit. They're a way to open a door, but it's not a sale. It piques interest. But for me is will it give me confidence in somebody? Yeah. But just because you've done something there, it's not a carbon copy. No. So unless, we can sit around a table and have honest conversations where you go, Dave, you do realise your opinion's 3 years out of date, pal, because it's now this. Yeah. Oh, okay. And you can have those conversations. They're what's important. Those honest conversations that sometimes are a little bit brutal, but have to open people's eyes. That's what's important. Yeah, a case study might get you through the door, but it ain't going to get you a sale from me.
And you're going to say?
I'm leaning more towards backbone, and the reason for that is, you need to demonstrate that end case. Yeah. So one of the things I'm trying to do is we don't talk about cameras. We don't really talk about the vision element. The case study is, you had this problem and we solved it like this. Yeah. And that.
But can I just go on the flip side is, one of the last comments he says it's about innovation. We haven't done that before. No. You have to work with us. So in that case, you haven't got a fucking case study, have you? So it is about the relationship and the conversation. Is it not?
But you try selling innovation. I mean, that's even more tenuous. It's always connection, conversation, trust.
I think it's about credibility.
And credibility, yeah. I mean, I think it opens the door. I think they're useful. You can get swayed by them. They can be very easily out of date. they are marketing led. So
But you know who are really good at stuff like that? Your snake oil friends.
Yeah.
Because it'll be nice and glossy and shiny, and it'll be a pop-up book and everything, and you'll get right, be really good at it.
Yeah.
But there's substance in there.
If we take it, if you look at it simplicity, case studies is, I have some envy towards what Martin does because he can case study easier, whereas my machines weigh 6 ton and it takes us 7 months to build a case study. Wow. But I know that when I take test equipment to do a singular function to a site, if I make that work without being arrogant, I'll get the order. If I fail, they'll never speak to me again. It is that easy. But it's quite hard. The other things with case studies as well, it's very hard to declare your hand. I mean, all Grunwalds do the same thing. They fill cups. But I have to be careful. I'm on such tight restrictions. You know, we're coming up the train this morning. I'm like, oh, remember, don't mention you can't say that customer, you can't do that. It's quite hard to case study cross reference now. So I think probably a case study by R&D work is probably the route out there.
We can't. None of our case studies can refer to any customer. You know, and it can be. You know, it can be a producer into a retailer, and if we've had some kind of value creation, the retailer's going to want their piece of it if they know about it. Yeah, then there could be some competitive tension and knowledge that we can't share. So the case study actually can end up very generic, and actually, you know, then it ends up being a bit more about the technology, and that's not really what I want. So it's always a challenge. You know, we never get that customer going.
Case studies for me just build awareness.
Yeah.
And it's the overall relationships that makes things happen.
If an automation project was to fail, the responsibility sits with the end user.
Bullshit's both. But ultimately, if I ain't got my FDS right and I ain't got my ducks in a row, then I have to be accountable. But also, if you've committed to delivering something and it's not right, then you also have to take accountability. It's back to what we said before. Every project is a partnership. It's a partnership between the customer and the suppliers to say, we're on this journey together. Yeah, we're investing X in your business to buy kit. Yeah. We're going to invest our time in learning about it, giving you a good project plan, providing you with accurate drawings that show you that there's a robot cell 300 mil away from your camera zone, all that kind of nice stuff.
Yeah.
It's a commitment that we're both going to work together and provide a good service to each other.
Yep.
David, can you walk us through any projects that look good on paper but struggled in installation? There's already been one mention.
Grunwald in
Let's not do another one.
2016, right?
No, so I would say the rollout of like data collection, so like manufacturing systems to record data. Them for me are some of the hardest to roll out, because we were talking a little bit about it earlier, is the key to automation, big data, all that kind of jazz, is having an engineering network. Because companies do not want things sitting on a global network, for cybersecurity reasons. The biggest problem for me in projects is if you've got, I'll say it, stubborn IT people, right, and leadership that just don't want to buy into it, don't want to invest in it, it's dead, and you will never get the max. You won't get the maximum out of your investment. And the biggest battles I've had over the years is with getting dialing functions to kit.
Yeah.
We've had it.
Yeah.
So that people can remote in and help.
Yes.
And it's that the blockers, whether it be return on investment, the bean counters running out of beans, or whether it is the fact that we want to dilute a solution. That's why things fail. If they're specified right, with the right level of investment, with the right level of engagement, projects will fly. Yeah. That's it. If you start to dilute it at any stage, you're going to have a problem. And that's what happens. Where, we love that solution, but can you just take the bit that works out of it to make it cheaper?
We want to talk about the negative because there's always room for improvement, and we're being disruptive, right? There are some bloody good projects landing at places at the moment. It's really good stuff. Stuff with some of the most traditional kind of automated equipment going back to initial design pre the Second World War, now with vision and robotic added function to it, or even just some people who are doing some really tidy jobs of laying out the most simple FMCG factories. there is some bloody good work going out there. The ratio's too low, but we've been beating ourselves up, and we want it right. We want it for the viewers. We want it to improve. There is some really good shit going out into factories at the moment. It's just a shame there's not enough of it.
And you're not allowed to talk about it.
Well, it's all Gromwald, right? But no, there is. I mean, there's the adoption of. I would say that the adoption of equipment that has better flexibility has been a real gain the last 10 years. The adoption of equipment or lines that verify, so having a vision system to look at something probably in the 2010 was a luxury, and now it's becoming a necessity.
Would you not say that stuff like that's now becoming more core?
Definitely more core, yeah.
It's now an expectation.
Yeah,
it's an expectation
and what we're automating on it. If you focus on food, because again, we need to talk about all the manufacturing of food in this country is bloody clever, because we have this juxtaposition that it's high throughput because there's 80 million of us in this country. But it's also a fashion industry, so whereas the Germans might have 4 flavours for something, we have 36. So the way that we combine throughput, tonnage and flexibility as a collective community of end users and providers is very, very special. And we do actually, it needs to be a lot better, but it is very, very special. And we are running, like I mentioned earlier, products that last longer. Automation projects that work mean that people are buying staple foods in supermarkets at a lower price than if it didn't.
That's it. And if you can get longer shelf life, it means longer runs. It means your payback on automation is better because it's less changeovers. Changeovers being the biggest downtime in a lot of factory automation. What it is that getting clever with the packaging to standardise it to lessen the changeover. Because at the end of the day, no one's actually that bothered what tray their meal comes in or their meat comes in, as long as the product's good. So standardisation on packaging to make automation fly is something that we still need to get a lot better at in this country. There's too many SKUs, they all look different.
But the three of us are a very small bit of a collective set of people who actually pay quite a significant part of helping with the cost of living. I think that's fun.
Yeah, that goes back to the first question, competitiveness.
Yeah.
Automation equals competitiveness, which we all benefit from.
I'm just in my head trying to circle back, because I think everything David said from an end user point of view is the best version of a customer, in not for me anymore, but in my old hat.
Well, don't tell him that.
No. But the reality is that doesn't exist, right? Think of all the end users you go to, that mentality doesn't exist, right? So how do we take this conversation back to industry to say this is what needs to change? It's because it improves productivity, it makes the end user better, it makes food cheaper. Because David's one person going around these factories making small changes, but there are hundreds of SMEs in the Automate membership that will be actively trying to sell to other people like David that is struggling.
We got to get them part of the community. I mean, it's literally
Education and communication.
For me, also,
break down all barriers.
It has to scale up, and one thing that you have to be careful when you're dealing with one of the benefits of being involved in a trade association, and Martin's involved with us a bit now as well, is that you can pretty much do what you want and make a change, but you've got to you deal with, like the apprenticeship clusters. You can probably make the apprenticeship clusters a national scheme, but you try and do it too fast, you'll kill yourself. There's some very easy wins that we can do, which is get the end users into our membership, but actually not in tokenism, actually have very touch pointy kind of events, maybe at places like we are today at SMC, and just basically have this conversation and try and get some outcomes out of it. Because if you get some outcomes out of it, if you put us three around on against a whiteboard, you get some things that you probably start work to a national FDS standard. There's various things. So the main thing is we have to get the end user and the supplier talking a lot better, a lot quicker.
Agreed.
Okay, final segment. This is called Say the Quiet Part. What's the uncomfortable truth about what happens to the UK if we don't automate?
We slowly, without realising, the manufacturing industry drips away to overseas countries. Not big bang stuff, just a line moves, gets produced somewhere else, and then another line, and then another line, and then the factory closes.
Which
There's
has happened a lot
Yeah.
in automotive.
Yeah, it just ebbs away.
And you can see it doing in kind of healthcare, home care type stuff, and you can see it happening in long shelf life food.
But it's UK manufacturing industry is the staple of GDP, so we've got to get on it.
For the people that are outside of manufacturing watching this, what does it actually mean to them if a line drips out to another country? Because they drive down the motorway and just see a big grey building. They have no idea what's inside it.
Well, if manufacturing moves to another country, that's a loss of jobs. That's a hit to the local economy. It means your goods are going to get more than likely going to get more expensive because of import taxation, because of the carbon footprint of that product. Yeah, we want to be, we want to paddle our own canoe in this country, right? We want to be able to drive it, see it, look and feel at things, make sure that we're giving the youth a chance to grow, develop, and become the next generation of engineers, leaders that can then drive the next round of sustainability and change, which potentially could be game changing for sustainability, the climate, whatever it is, and also the cost of living. We want to be self-sufficient. We don't want to be relying on external influences. We need to look after, the UK as a whole and our families, our children, and as children's children. That's why it's important, because if manufacturing leaves, this country is going to be in dire straits, and we are not providing an environment for our children and our children's children to succeed.
What he said.
I thought so.
Yeah, I can't top that.
Gents, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.